not be yourself and do a role is something all actors are faced with. And you have constantly changed the narrative, you completely transformed physically, you're an amazingly good looking person.
Thank you.
But you constantly transform yourself. One of the things that I mostly see in you is, and do not judge me for this, you're not scared of being unbeautiful.
Tailor's Palette. Experience the magic of bespoke craftsmanship tailored just for you. Measure now and enjoy your perfect fit in just 2 hours.
You know, people are very conservative when it comes to investing money in a film, which is why historically, since we've had male hero-led films, it's easier to invest your faith and therefore your money in them. But she had the guts and the gumption to say, this is a story I want to tell. She's an unconventional, I don't know if you could have even called her a hero, but you know, she believed she was a hero, and she decided to put money, you know, to put money on this film. And of course then, I think I was at the right place at the right time. I don't think I've ever believed that being a woman is a limitation. So yeah, I was doing certain kinds of films, but I would always, it was not like it was not like a burning desire, I want to prove to the world that even women can lead films, nothing of the sort. But there was that desire in my, I think that fire in my belly, ki kitna maza aata agar, you know, I could be the hero of a film. And I think Kainat ne sun li. You know, and things started falling into place. I literally was at the right place at the right time. But I have to say that, Vani, I don't believe that while, you know, I am credited for being the face of this change, and I'm very grateful for it, it is the work of everyone before me. Every female actor who even did the so-called inconsequential roles that has brought us to this place. It's their frustration, it's their angst, it's their desire for more. All of which has propelled us further to reach a stage where we're now telling women's stories. Also the world around us changed. Right? So women are now taking center stage in their lives. Therefore we are okay to see a reflection of that on screen. We're not just wanting to see them as sacrificial mothers or, you know, the all-bearing, the wife who puts up with anything for her husband, or her, you know, or a daughter who's extremely pious, who allows herself to be judged. We're not being defined by our relationships with the men in our lives anymore. We are our own people. Because we are our own people, that's what we're seeing in cinema. That's why we are willing to go and buy a ticket and watch those films on screen also.
But you're being very simplistic about it, my dear friend. It was a complex biopic. You go and play the mother of, you know, a character who's got this, you know, syndrome. And Amit ji is playing that role. Playing mother itself is one of those stereotypes which the Indian film industry has been bogged with. You know, the Ma syndrome, as we call it. Tell us a little more about that journey, and that film was so unique and so touching in so many parts.
That again, you know, Balki, I remember when Balki came to me, I was like, what sort of a story is this? I didn't believe it because he only gave me a nutshell. But when I heard the narration and then later when I reread the script, I was completely blown. Again, there was this hunger in me that I just wanted to do this role. But there was, I will admit, that there was some trepidation because you're like exactly this, right? People tell you you shouldn't be playing mother even to little kids in films because then you'll be playing mother for the rest of your life and blah, blah, blah. And then you're going to be playing mother to a 67-year-old actor, not just a 67-year-old actor. We're talking about the Amitabh Bachchan. And, you know, I was like, but it's okay. You know, what am I acting for if I don't take up these roles? I want to be living, at least trying to live, different women's lives through the characters I play. And this is giving me such a great opportunity and a story beautifully told, even on paper. It read beautifully. And I knew that Balki, you know, would tell the story really well. And He did. So, but I think there was a little bit of, I hope, and with no disrespect, I was like, I hope I don't become the next Nirupa Roy. Because people do scare you and tell you that iske baad to wahi hoga. But I have to tell you, that process was so magical. It made me just realize what I'm here to do. And lots of people ask me, don't you want to write, don't you want to direct? And I'm like, no, there are people who do that and do that very well. I want to be in front of the camera. I love it. The camera is my deepest love.
And you kept playing sleuths, jasoos, police, detectives, things which are seen as very male-centric in the centerpiece of cinema in our country.
Right.
So that itself is the biggest crack in that glass ceiling, Vidya. But you've constantly reinvented yourself with each role you've done. One of the things which is often asked, since I used to do so much theatre and I work with young actors all the time, how do you not be yourself and do a role? Is something all actors are faced with. And you have constantly changed the narrative, you completely transformed physically, you're an amazingly good-looking person.
Thank you.
But you constantly transform yourself. One of the things that I mostly see in you is, and do not judge me for this, you're not scared of being unbeautiful.
Right.
Right? I'm not using the word ugly. That's a very big task for an actor. We are being suddenly gender neutral. We were all actresses and we were heroines and now we are actors. What is it to transform yourself to be in a character and be unbeautiful on screen?
Firstly, I believe that beauty is as beauty does. So if it serves the purpose of bringing alive a character, I will try and transform myself with all the tools I have, makeup, hair, costume, mannerism, voice. And I'm not a trained actor, so it's always a lot of work. But I think I get very bored as a person, very easily. So to constantly keep myself engaged, I have to do new things. Which is why I think I wouldn't be able to do theatre. I would probably be a very poor theatre actor, because how do you find the truth day after day?
I disagree completely there.
Which is, I really don't have the guts to, look for the truth in what you're doing day after day in the same material. I think I get bored very easily. So which is why I'm constantly looking for new stories, for characters that don't seem familiar, or sometimes they seem familiar but I haven't quite explored that aspect. So I think it's out of sheer boredom that I'm looking for new things to do. And yeah, it's I think on screen I'm never playing myself. At least the attempt is, I never try to not be me, because it is me who's playing a character.
Talking about being other people, there's another amazing biopic which I call The Mathematics of Life, Shakuntala Devi. She was a very well-known mathematician, but in the film, in the journey of the film, we actually saw you within also the childhood that she had and what kind of a journey she had. Nobody knew about the complicated, complex journey that she had. How was it like to play somebody who's an iconic figure and globally is seen, again, mathematics not being attached to women.
Right.
It's a very male-centric domain, and she just burst into it and, broke so many things around it.
Yeah, but she was called the human computer, and this is obviously not made up, it is real. She's a real person. So women, I think, I don't know where this conception comes from of women not being good at maths, because actually women handle households, and there you require math more than anywhere else. So also our finance minister. What more proof do you need? So I think, but what I loved about this story is that it was not a conventional biopic. She was spoken about as a human computer, but people forgot that there was a human in there. They began to, a lot of people said, but we would have liked to see more of the mathematical genius. But I said, for that you can watch a documentary on her.
Right.
Here we were exploring who she was as a person, and we had access to her daughter's version of her life, which is the closest one can get to. So I think I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the fact that beneath this brilliance, she was almost, I think it's almost, you feel like it's humanly impossible, right? And she made that possible.
You are constantly breaking so many molds. Yeah, and molds which have been so structured, so entrenched societally, sociologically. There is almost a politics to it. That's how I look at it.
That's a scary word for me.
And you do know that the empirical idea of, actors being followed by a large mass, there are so many women and men who follow you, in the country. They always want to know what Vidya Balan is doing next. So what exactly is Vidya Balan doing next?
I don't know, as a matter of fact. I've only been reading material and, listening to narrations. But I haven't decided what I'm going to do next. There are a few ideas that I've liked that are under development. But I'm enjoying this time. I'm reading again and I'm listening to music again after almost a decade, I think. So, and it's giving me so much perspective on just what I do also, because sometimes when you're constantly working, you don't have that perspective. You need that little distance. And I know that I'm dying to do a comedy, honestly, because I love doing comedy, and people don't seem to write comedies.
We all remember Hum Panch, right? We do.
And there aren't, everyone who comes to me brings me invariably an intense or, a thriller story, but I'm like, bring me something that I can laugh to and that I can make people, that will make people laugh. So I'm hoping, I'm waiting for that comedy, but yeah, I think exciting times ahead, honestly. I don't want to speak too early, but...
What am I going to ask next? You're not going to kill me for it, because I received some very special requests for you this morning while I was boarding the flight from Delhi. You sing beautifully and very few people know about it. So give it up, friends, for one round of applause for having Vidya sing to us today.
I think
She's trained. She's trained in
I'll tell you the story.
dance.
I trained in classical music, but if I didn't give up, my guru would have. So...
Vidya, there are so many gurus in the audience waiting, to own or disown you. Let them decide. No, this is a very special request.
I lip sync beautifully. You can play a song and I'll lip sync to it. Oh my god, I don't even know.
Let's sing a song together.
I really am not a good singer, but I'll sing. What the hell? What should I sing?
You bole.
Huh? Hey, no, Amije Tumar and all very complicated. You bole is easy. क्या कह रहे? अब बजा दो, मैं गाती हूँ साथ साथ. पियो बोले, पिया बोले, क्या ये बोले जानो ना, जिया डोले, हौले हौले, क्यों ये डोले जानो ना.
Beautiful. Thank you, Vidya.
You're very kind. Thank you.
They often use the term unapologetic. I hate that term, because what are we apologizing for?
Correct.
So I want to ask you, what do you think is lacking in this consciousness? I'm very glad that people are finally waking up, and we are so very aware of whether it's the body talk or the gender talk, but I think there is still something lacking in the consciousness in the industry also, because so I'm a writer, and even behind the camera I see that the percentage of women is very, very less. So coming to the glass ceiling is not just limited to the roles we play, right? I want you to tell me, in your experience, what do you think is lacking in that industry right now regarding this consciousness, despite so much talk, that's preventing more women from being behind the camera?
Time, Avirupa, because Change does not happen overnight, it happens over time. And where we did not have any women on set today, we have, at least 2%, 5% of a unit comprising of women. I think we've come a long way. We cannot hope for it to be 50-50 overnight. But the change is underway and we must appreciate that. I know there is this, we all now want more, right? So we feel frustrated because we're not seeing the world the way, or the world is not the way we want to see it. But we have to be patient. We have to just keep pushing. We have to just keep believing in ourselves and keep forging ahead. And not let any of these so-called limitations stand in the way of where we want to get. I don't see any lack, honestly. If at all, I'm saying, we have come some distance and we must appreciate that.
There are so many foreign films, their directors, their actors, who are mixing with the audience, people who are roaming about. But our Indian actors, they are not. They only get chance in conversation, and that too on stage. And mostly they don't connect with the audience.
Right.
But there were 2 or 3 in conversations also. I can name them. Mr. Vijay Sethupathi was there, then Mr. Sunny Deol was there, then today villains were there. They were very much connected with all of us.
Right, right.
So, and you have been saying that you love the camera.
Yeah.
What about the audience?
I love the camera because it is my medium to the audience. It is the instrument that connects me with the audience. Having said that, sir, I will say one thing in, I just feel that it's not easy for Indian actors to be out here. I'll tell you why. Because we'll only be taking selfies with people. There would be no conversation. The conversation can at least happen, even if it's one way, can happen like this. But if any of us were to really be amidst the audience, unfortunately today it's only about selfies.
उसमें महिला एक्टर्स का बहुत बड़ा योगदान रहा है समाज सुधार में. तो जब तत्कालीन पुरानी फिल्मों की बात करते हैं उस समय भी महिला एक्टर्स ने बहुत सारा संदेश दिया है. वो निसंदेह आज भी दे रही हैं. ये बड़ा परिवर्तन है जो ग्लैमर को लेकर है. क्या हम अपनी संस्कृति को बचा रहे हैं या हम होड़बाजी में कुछ भी कॉपी करे जा रहे हैं? तो हम संदेश अपने समाज को या देश को क्या दे रहे हैं? मेरा कहने का तात्पर्य सीधा सा है कि कुछ मूवीज़ ऐसी हैं जो महिला प्रधान भी होती हैं, पुरुष प्रधान भी हैं, लेकिन उनकी वेशभूषा जो जिस तरीके से फिल्मांकन है उसका कहीं ना कहीं समाज पे कुछ असर जरूर पड़ता है. तो आप पहले की फिल्में, पहले भी महिला प्रधान फिल्में थी, कुछ फिल्मों में उनके भी संदेश होते थे, बाकायदा वो एक अच्छे कॉस्ट्यूम्स में थी, लेकिन आज बड़ा परिवर्तन हुआ.
मुझे लगता है कि संदेश देने का काम हम लोगों का नहीं है, सिर्फ पॉलिटिशियंस का है. हम यहाँ सिर्फ मनोरंजन करने बैठे हैं, ये मेरा मानना है. अगर मनोरंजन करने के साथ साथ हम आपको किसी भी विषय पर सोचने पर मजबूर करें, अगर आप घर जाके उस विषय के बारे में सोच सकें तो ये हमारे लिए जीत होगी. और हृदय परिवर्तन फिल्मों के द्वारा हो सकता है. समाज परिवर्तन का जो भार है हम उठा नहीं सकते, क्योंकि हम भी आपकी तरह समाज का हिस्सा हैं. एंड आई थिंक इट्स फिल्मों पे ना ये बहुत अच्छा. स्मोकिंग लोग फिल्मों से सीखते हैं, दारू पीना लोग फिल्मों से सीखते हैं, अश्लील चीज़ें करना फिल्मों से सीखते हैं. फिर जो अच्छी अच्छी बातें फिल्में सिखाती हैं वो लोग क्यों नहीं सीखते?
I've known also the struggles of breaking out, coming to accepting yourself and all of that. What were the challenges that you faced? Like, I mean, I have interviewed Shobana Samar back in the day, and I remember her holding a cigarette in her hand was epoch making. It reached the cover of a magazine I wrote for, Savvy. But over a period of time, there were people who didn't have women's washrooms. I have a cousin who was a locations manager here in Goa, and she used to regale us with tales. Do you recount such challenges that despite which, you rose, and I know you have this philosophy of glass half full. So, I mean, how did that help you overcome and surmount the glass ceiling?
No, I think for me, like I said, it wasn't a conscious decision to break the glass ceiling, or I didn't see the glass ceiling honestly in my mind's eye. It was always, I just saw the sky. So, but I will say that, you know, there were the films when I came into the industry, there were male hero-led films, right? And there was, I really felt like, oh my God, you know, we had Meena Kumari, Shabana Azmi, Rekha, and I'm not adding a G at the end of it because when we talk about them, we, you know, with due respect, when we talk about them, we take their names. And, you know, Jaya Bhaduri you mentioned, so many of them, Hema Malini, they've all played, Sri Devi, Smita Patil, Tabu, I can keep going on and on and on. They've all played substantial parts in films. So there was this, I was like, but they you know, invariably it was said that every female actor had one or two of those films, or maybe a couple of those films in an entire career spanning, God knows, maybe a decade or whatever. But I would be like, you know, why can't it just be the mainstay? Why can't women just be doing substantial roles of all kinds? Not just serious, intense, but even fun. And I think maybe the world was moving in that direction, therefore I had that desire in me, you know, which is why it all aligned and we moved forward together. But what were the challenges? So I think it was only that I was feeling like, oh, but you know, I'm not doing anything exciting in these kind of films, in the male hero-led films. But the universe responded with great opportunities, so I'm not complaining. And about, you know, not having loose and things like that, I think today the situation is far better.
Different, yeah.
Yeah, far better because we have more women.
Yes.
Yeah, and also, you know, we have the posh committees on every film. Every production house has a responsibility to have a posh committee on every production, and people are carrying that out very
No, I meant it metaphorically.
Okay.
I mean, there was.
Ma'am,
Thank you.
I only have
Thank
time for
you.
one last
Thank
question.
you.
He's been waiting for a long time. Get him a mic.
You played other role of Sharna Devi. So what are the reference of a DFO you had? Because my wife is a DFO that time. Now she's CF in this one, and she worked. We both worked in Satyamara Tiger Reserve, which got best Tiger Reserve country.
Right.
All the preparation went through, and we should do more of that kind of conservation role. Thank you.
Thank you. You know, people ask me questions about conservation now, and I'm like, listen, I only played a role. I mouth lines that were given to me. I have a little understanding of the subject, but not too much. But I did meet some forest officers in Mumbai, and I also read a couple of books, and those were my references because I didn't have access to too many people, but they were very helpful.
See, this is very interesting that people start to believe you are what you portray on screen,
yeah.
and that becomes a reference point, you know, forever and ever.
You won't
And-
believe
and-
it, after Mission Mangal, every time there's a mission from ISRO, they ask me for a bite and I'm like, please.
Vidya, may you succeed and thrive, and may our tribe grow.